Alright, good morning. I'm back on this LS swap finally. I burned a whole day up yesterday bringing home more future videos, helping my dad out with the excavator, a few other things. So I got most of the engine back together. I still have not got this bolt. I drilled it and tried to easy out it, but it was going to be too hard, so I'm just going to weld it. I'll do that here in a few. I don't think I'm going to be able to drop the motor all the way in here. We're looking at right around 23 inches. And with the headers, it's going to be more. I was hoping to set the motor with the cherry picker all the way down and then bolt the transmission up to it and then pick all of it back up. But since I won't be able to, I'm going to lower the front of the 4runner down all the way down to the bottom down here and hope I have enough height in my little garage to get the motor and training. I want to put it in there to see where it's all going to sit, to see if I'm going to need a body lift or not. So I'm just going to get to getting my welder out. I'm going to get that bolt out, and the headers, they're not bolted up tight, just like these are the old spark plugs. They're just mainly because if you have spark plugs in a hole, it plugs it. If you have the new ones in there, you chance just breaking them off and wasting money. So just like the water pump. Old water pump, it's barely even bolted in there. Those are just for mock-up purposes. I want to see if we're going to have the clearance here or not. The Corvette front end stuff sits back a few more inches. All right, so that took way too long. I got the header on, got the bolt out. I mated up the transmission, and then every one of these bolts had these nubs on. I kept this one because that's where the transmission dipstick goes. And then while doing this, the transmission's still full of fluid. So I'm going to deal with that and then get the front of the 4runner lowered pretty much all the way down on those orange jack stands. If you have never done the weld the bolt, you just basically weld an old nut on your broken bolt. I turned mine up way too hot, but it worked. And then I easy outed it, or tapped it after I was done, sorry. I'm going to get the transmission fluid drained so I don't make a mess, because I'm going to have to stand this thing up on its end. And then drop it in and just see where everything goes. Once it's in there and I think I know where I want it, I need to measure about where the front end's going to be to see if this oil pan's going to work. Because I don't know where that axle and everything else is going to hit yet. Clean this pan out, as good as an oil pan can get. And we're just going to buzz these off real quick. I just wanted to record it. Sometimes you just got to do what you call cover your ass. These are all used in wrecking yards. Alright, we're going to let that drain. So just for comparison purposes, when you're doing a build like this, that's what I pulled out of this transmission. And yes, that's brand new. I get it. After it runs a little bit, it won't quite be that bright. But I can go out to pretty much any automatic right now that's good, and it won't look like motor oil. I mean, that's pretty dark. Maybe you can see a little tiny bit of a red, but not much of one. So I'm going to pull this pan all the way off. I want to see how much stuff's in the bottom. It'll be fine for a mock-up. I just don't know if anybody's doing a build like this or wants to spend that much time and effort and money to put this kind of a swap in and then turn around immediately and pull a transmission and transfer case back out to have the transmission rebuilt. So once I get this all figured out, drained, the pan off, I'll bring the camera back on. I won't even wipe the pan out. We'll just look at it together just to see how much is in there. There should be a magnet in there. I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of just metal on it. So I'll have it apart. I need that to drip for a while anyways. I don't know. I'm going to make a mess anyways. So I'll be back. All right, I got the pan off. Way down in there, I guess you can see some sparkles in there. You can really see it move, and you tilt it. Get way in there, I guess. Yeah, you can see all that metal. This is all chunks down here. This whole pocket right here, this is all big chunks. So that's not going to be my decision. I'll leave that to them. Probably take that filter off just because I'm curious what's held up on the filter itself. Right now, just for mock-up purposes, it'll work, but I'm going to let them make the decision if they want to have it rebuilt before we get it done. So, get the pan cleaned up, get the pan back on there temporarily. Well, I'll lower the front down and then we'll start putting it together. Well, I got the motor hanging, tranny's on, got the 4runner all raked out, looking to go to the drags. See if we can get this fit in there. Guess what I didn't think about? I did not think about the width. So I think I'm going to put the jack stands under the rear frame mounts back here temporarily. All right, let's use the high lift. Back to it. Let's see. All right, let's see if we can get that thing in there now. It would be easier if I did that crank off. The hoist is 25 years old. Kind of proud of it. I gotta get the gun. All right, I'm gonna put this on pause. I think that's about where it's gonna have to sit. The front's obviously gonna have to come down a little bit more because this thing's got a really, really, really bad rake to it right now. I think if I can get the front down just a touch more, I still have just a little room I can go back. Not much though. The other side, I'm gonna have to reroute some brake lines. That header, it's hard to see that. The header is right on it, on the brake line, right there. So that mess of brake stuff is definitely gonna have to be relocated. But that's why I cut out the factory motor mounts, because these are going to be below the factory. And I may end up having to build a cross member also. I'm going to try and get this thing set in there a little bit better without the engine hoist assisting me, because I want to put that oil pan back on and my engine hoist is slowly bleeding off. You can tell because I think it's no, it's about level with the back part of the frame. So yeah, I'm gonna see what I can get done. I might find some more engine stands, maybe put it under those motor mounts. All right, so I took a little time and I kind of leveled out the 4runner. I think this is as good as I'm gonna get it. There's a tiny bit of clearance there. There's enough exhaust on this side. Passenger side, as it sits, I want to pull that valve cover off and see if I can trim. Oh, I may not be able to trim that. I guess I'll have to see how those coil packs fit on the top of this. Otherwise, I'm going to have to pull the whole thing forward just another inch. I'm just trying to save as much room as I can because right now it's going to be really tough to put a radiator in here. As it stands, the way this header drops, oh, you can't see nothing. Let me turn your light on. All right, that's kind of glaring. So I'm going to have to reroute pretty much every single brake line, which, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's going to be really time consuming. I'm pretty sure we can get exhaust run with it sitting like that once I clean all this off the frame. But I think another big thing is going to also be, I need to go out and measure the distance from the front spring to where the center of the axle is going to hang, and approximately how much space we're going to have, and then put the oil pan back in. I don't think this is going to be a wheeler or anything. Pretty sure it's just going to be a driver. So as long as we have, I'm hoping for at least 4 to 6 inches clearance between the front end and the oil pan with the lift. So I want to temporarily mount this motor kind of where it's at. It might have to go forward depending on these coil packs here. As far as I know, I must go this way. That is definitely going to be mounted back there, so I'm going to have to bring this motor forward an inch. Alright, so I'm going to put a strap on it, strap it forward just a hair more. I want to make sure these motor mounts are level to the frame. I think this side's still a little bit high. If you look at that, let's see, is that about level? That clearance versus that. I think this side is sitting just a tiny bit lower. So I'm gonna deal with a few things and then hopefully I can start I'll fab up some mounts. I don't think I'm gonna be able to use the factory stuff at all. I did save those plates. Well, maybe. I can always cut them off another Toyota out back too, but I don't know. Because these sit like that normally. They sit like that really high up on the frame. And these are going to be way low. Well, I'll figure something out. I'll put the camera down and see what my imagination can come up with. I don't want to pull that motor back out like that. Okay, so I put the oil pan back on. We'll have lots of clearance for a high steer, but I'm afraid the axle is going to be really close to where that's going to be. I'm kind of concerned, but we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to take a guesstimation. Go from center, I'm going to say 21.5 to be safe. Our height clearance, to be safe, we'll say 12. So 21.5, 12. Be 21.5 puts us right about there. Even if it's from there, we got plenty. We might be pretty all right. Well, it looks like I need to start putting motor mount plates together. Kind of exciting. Well, good morning. Today, wasn't supposed to be working on this. Today, I was supposed to be working on a different truck. And yesterday, I was also supposed to pick up another truck. Well, that's now today, I think. So I'm gonna make motor mounts, get the motor. I think I had to pull it forward, so I didn't do anything. After I shut the camera off, I got busy. So I'm gonna get set up. I gotta clean up a few things, get my welder ready, and find some metal and get working. So when I'm back, I'll actually get some work done. All right, I got my weld area there, I don't know, kind of cleaned up. I realized in one of my videos I said I was gonna make these frame plates. I didn't. So I'm gonna make frame plates. I need to space this steering box. I'd like to go an inch. I don't think I have enough room for an inch, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a plate that welds all the way from the front or part of this, and I want to bring it back I should just plate this whole side. There's a lot of pressure with this steering box and the front end, big tires. I got the motor sitting kind of where I want it. I want to space this as close. I don't have much of a gap, much room. I want to get the steering box over as far as I can to this body because I'm afraid, oh, there's a magnet on this, sorry. Okay. I'm afraid that if this engine flexes at all, this pulley, this is all going to start vibrating. Plus the header's really close. I'll probably have to build some sort of a heat shield between here and there. So if I get this steering box over just a little bit more, I'll have enough room to put a shield. Sorry, you can't see that. A heat shield in there. That's only a 1/4 inch. That header will get hot right there. The passenger side, I finally got clearance back behind that valve cover for the coil packs. And then down here, I believe there's enough clearance now. Once I get rid of all this mess, I'll just redo those lines after we put some sort of exhaust, at least past. Then I'll figure out brake lines. I don't know if this is the fuel line side or if this is the fuel return side, but all that could be redone. That's not a big deal. I think I have this finally sitting level to where the motor mounts are even on each side. I have the transmission centered as good as I can in that. But I might have to go that way just a touch more. I'm going to finish squaring things up, and I'm going to start making frame plates so I don't keep saying that I'm going to do it. I'm kind of lazy because I don't like grinding upside down. I did not get all these welds. That one's pretty bad. Needs to be cut. I need to clean all the bottom of this up. So I'm going to have a few hours of nothing but grinding. Don't like grinding with the motor in here. I think I have a fiberglass blanket I'm going to put over the top of everything. I'm going to start getting the plating done because these frames become weak now that I don't have any cross members due to all the holes they come factory, and I really want to get all that cleaned up. I'm going to get this taken off nicely, thrown in the back, that way I can put it back on. I just don't want it in my way. So I'm going to get to work. I'm going to get grinding, cutting. I'll bring it back in after I get something actually done that makes it look like I'm making progress in this build finally. So all right, so I got my plates fixed up, ground down. I'm gonna have to do a little trim job on the bottom here. I'll have to mark that out, cut that off just so it lines up the frame better. I think my finger got jealous because I nicked it pretty good with the flapper wheel. I'm gonna go ahead and get these frame reinforcement plates welded on. I'm gonna go ahead and start building the motor mount plates. I'm not gonna grind or do anything too heavy. I just want to get the motor and everything back out of there. It's easier work when I have all that extra space. I know where it sits. I know where I want it to sit, I think. Of course, I'll have to line up a little bit more. So once I get those motor mount plates, I'm going to build them and then weld them. I'm going to tack them in. I'm not going to weld them until I can get in there. So I'm just going to tack them in, make sure it's going to be good, make sure the motor's level. I would really like this motor to sit over a little bit further, so I'm going to remove the steering box, try and pull it over. I need it over at least another inch, mainly because if you can see down there. Anyways, I have more room that I can move over for that exhaust header flange, and I would like the motor to sit over just a hair more because it's not 100% in line yet. And if I can get it over just a tiny bit more, I think you can see it. That bar is not in the center either, but that hole right there is center. I'm not too far off. If I can get it to move over maybe a half an inch, this motor will be straight, right in the center of where I need it to be. So once I can get that squared up, I want a tail shaft squared up at where the rear end, with the rear end that's in it now lined up to where everything's nice and straight and square down the center. That way there's no weird, I don't know, could be geometry involved, who knows, but I just want it squared up. That way I don't have to worry about that. So I'm gonna spend a little time doing that, welding those plates in, and then start fabbing up the motor mounts. So once I get all that done, I'll check back in. All right, so several hours later, I figured out some stuff. I'm making motor mount. The mount itself will sit on this plate. I'm using a scribe, but I'm using just templates out of cardboard. There's my 2 templates I've got. I have one kind of tacked into place here. The mount will set nice on there. They're just really adjustable. I've got one just tacked into place. As soon as I get the other piece cut out and tacked, and then I'm going to put a piece of metal in the front. I'm just going to knock it off the frame, weld it out of the frame. I got this piece welded in. It's solid on the top, the sides. I have not done the bottom. I'm just tired of getting burned today. Hopefully have enough time to get the other frame reinforcement, motor mount built. I don't think I'm going to be able to reinforce the steering piece here today. Mainly because cutting these pieces and then getting them prepped and fit, it's kind of a pain. I use these little magnets here. They have a couple of little magnets on the bottom. You can flex them around. They're not super strong, but it's what I have to work with. I have a couple of other little heavier duty ones. But that's what I use for my fabrication, trying to hold these things into place. But I don't want to do too much welding down here with this stainless header. I'm just going to do some minor tack work, pull those out. I'll put them back in, get them tacked into place. I'm hoping to get them strong enough to pull this motor back out to where I can really get in there and get some work done. I'm not going to do any more frame reinforcements, but I think it looks pretty good sitting in there like this. So hopefully I can get all that done today. I think I may end up calling this video done for now. I have quite a bit I've actually accomplished. Getting the motor fit, it's been great. Let me know if you guys need any more detail, if you guys like less detail. Just, you know, make some comments, let me know what you guys like and don't like. But I do hope you like this video, and thanks for watching.